some men's teams. Like, I'm not talking about the Jets and Giants, obviously, or the Yankees
Yeah.
or the Knicks, but I see it with some men's teams. Like, why isn't this being promoted more? Why isn't there a billboard of this person?
Yes.
You got it comes down to the team, the league, but I would say the team because you're looking at selling, just kind of to pare it down locally. They could do so much better, but again, they have to pay the highest level of person what they're worth to get them to
Marketing. Yep.
do the marketing and do the ad sales and do the
True.
community public relations and get those stories on.
All right. So, first off, welcome to Winning Her Way. I created this platform for amazing women in sports and, of course, female athletes to tell their stories their way. And normally, how I get started is, of course, I can tell everybody about your amazing accolades, your bio, and all these beautiful things about you. But the point of the show is for you to tell your own story. So, getting started, I would love for you to kind of tell us a little bit about who you are, and then, of course, how you got into what it is you're doing now.
So thank you so much for having me and just
Of
for
course.
reaching out because I've seen so much of what you've done and you are so inspiring from your
Thank
sneaker
you.
company and just all that you've done as an athlete. So I'm really inspired and honored to be here. But I am a sports broadcaster in New York City. I also work on at Channel 5. It's called Fox 5 New York. Do I have any of my microphones around? I don't. Um, I would show you my logo. It's just all my stuff behind me. But anyway, and
Yeah, I
I also
love
work
your
at
background, by the way.
so this is my office, my little corner, all the books,
I
all the great
see.
things. We're trying to get all the New York teams in behind me. So I've got Jets stuff, Giants stuff, New York Red Bulls down back here. I have some New York NYCFC. Got some Rangers hockey pucks and Devil hockey pucks there. Got Islanders
Oh, I
jerseys.
love it.
Trying to cover everybody because if I do Zooms, especially, between 2020 and 23, we were doing all Zooms and I was like, hey, where's my team? Everybody's
Yeah, so
checking
you have to fit everybody in.
trying to fit everybody in. So I work at Fox 5 in New York and also CBS Sports, where I do sideline reporting for college football, some college basketball. I do some studio stuff for college basketball. But I'm also a host on We Need to Talk, which is the all-female talk show that
Yes.
airs monthly. And how I got into it, I just love sports growing up as a kid. My family was full of educators. My mom was a teacher and a principal. A lot of my uncles on both my dad and mom's side were attendants, but they were coaches.
Mm,
To them because it teaches discipline and teamwork and
yeah.
sacrifice. So everybody was an educator and a coach. And I grew up in that kind of an atmosphere. So I love sports. I mean, on Friday nights, we would go to Uncle John's football games,
Yeah.
Friday night lights in Jersey. On Saturday mornings at 9 a.m., we would go to Uncle Joe's freshman football games, or sometimes go if he was coaching crew, or we had cousin Carl coaching softball in the spring, and
Wow.
cousin Jim Mark coaching high school and also at the college level. Cousin Mark was a women's basketball coach in college, Division 3, Caldwell College. So we
Wow.
were all going to games. Was also a Giants fan growing up. Family was very mixed, Yankees, Mets. There was a lot of, it's
Ah,
American.
yeah.
So that's the atmosphere I grew up in. So just sports was just always like a part of my life. I tried playing all the sports. I'm not a natural athlete, as my dad would say, but I was coachable. I did very well in individual sports. Track and field became my thing. I ran
That was
men's
my thing.
is yes, yes. I did the shot put. I was actually really good at. Who the heck knew that? But the shot put kind of came from my gymnastics background. So I did gym
Ah,
and wasn't, same thing. Wasn't good enough like to like really compete at a high level, but I enjoyed it. The discipline turned it into more dance and cheerleading and competition
yeah.
on that stuff.
Wow.
But strength from my legs with the shot put and all that jazz, and the upper
Wow.
body strength from the gymnastics. So that's what.
Yeah.
And so through high school, my sports were like gymnastics, track and field. Love track and field. I still run. I did a bunch of marathons, but again, just love sports. And I always wanted to be a news
Mm,
broadcaster. I loved Barbara
mm.
Walters, Diane Sawyer. And I remember Barbara Walters interviewing, athletes all the time, Michael Jordan, Shaquille
Okay.
O'Neal. And it was just the coolest thing that I loved sports. And then I started doing those interviews. And then we started to see, oh, Hannah Storm hosting the NBA Today, Linda Cohn on ESPN Sports Center,
Yep.
Michelle Tapoya, doing sideline reporting. And my all-time, the godmother, I call her the queen of it all, Leslie Visser, doing all the sideline reporting. And then Andrea Kramer on whether it was HBO Sports or NFL Network or doing her reports on ESPN. So I started seeing all these women covering sports on TV. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I could do what Barbara Walters does, but only cover sports. So that's
Exactly.
I started to pursue my career in college, went to University of Maryland, studied journalism, and tried to focus all on the sports stuff, covering the sports teams at Maryland, starting my own TV show there as part of an independent study, worked at the radio station. And I was like a DJ, but I was always have athletes on my show as guests. So hey,
Ah.
players, football players, baseball players, whatever. I would have them like call in or come to the studio for like 20 minutes. And I would give scores that night when I was DJing and, things like that. So that's kind of where it started. And it's been a long road since I graduated Maryland, that's for sure, to get here to Fox 5 and CBS Sports.
Wow, so you have an extensive background. So I would definitely say it was kind of destined. If you grew up in that type of sports family where you were able to kind of see different sports from your point of view. And then the fact that, again, it just seems like you were naturally interested in doing this anyway. So that's pretty impressive. So, with you doing this for the amount of time you have, how has the industry evolved since you started?
Early in my career, I was working for a small regional television station at the time called CN8, which was out of Philadelphia and Central Jersey. And because I lived in North Jersey, I was covering the those NFL teams.
Hmm.
And it was, I think at that time, players weren't used to it, or they were used to women that were more experienced at a higher level, like Leslie Visser on the
Yeah.
sidelines and Andrea Kramer. And same thing with coaches and things like that. So, I remember it just being, I never had a horrible experience. I just want to preface everything. I have heard of horrible experiences by women. Where
Yes.
I see the industry evolving is, as the years went on and as I kept at it, the help and the guidance I got from both men and women in the industry.
Mm,
Um,
okay.
once once the men saw how hard I was working and trying and learning the industry and learning the sports and learning journalism, then they were so helpful in connecting me with other people, connecting me with other jobs, things like that. Brian Baldinger and Spencer Tillman were huge influences and helps, eh, guidance, guardian angels early on in my career because I started off as like a runner, getting, and at the time
Yeah.
it was copies. Now we just email everybody to their phone, but I would get photocopies at Yankee Stadium or Giant Stadium and run them
Wow,
around Fox Sports.
man.
And
Wow. Yeah.
college, so we weren't that far off. So that was super cool. So those were like my little experiences that I got through. So I've been in this industry since I graduated college a long
Mm,
time ago. And
wow.
now what I love and the big evolution is, and I remember applying for jobs early on, and I was like, oh, sorry, we already have a woman. So it was like,
Mm,
when you look at you,
wow.
and it was kind of like the whole little quota thing, like, we got our token woman. Like that was a
Yeah.
lot of the reaction early on. Now, my sports show consists of me as the host of Sports Extra on Sunday nights, and my reporter's a woman, and we never made a big deal about it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like there are days where my guests are women, whether it's Kimberly Jones, that is an NFL columnist for Newsday. She used to be on NFL Network.
Mhm.
Or at times it's like Anita Mark. She's like a gambling expert. Or I'll have on Ann Liguori. She is golf and tennis expert and covers for WFAN radio. And they'll be my guests. Or then, I'll have Brianna Stewart on from the New York Liberty. or Jenna Nyswanger, the rookie last year from Gotham FC, and we'll have a whole show and do it. And we're covering the biggest stories. And Jen's out, wherever, say Jennifer's out at a home Yankees game, and then I've got a Gotham FC player in studio or something I tape during the week, like a sit down interview, and then Anita's on talking about gambling. Well, oh wow, we
That's
just
beautiful.
had an all female, but it's like like we don't make we're not making a big deal about it.
Yeah.
Like these are the experts, these are the
Yeah.
stories. That's what our night. So that's what I love. Like
I love
sometimes we have
that.
to look back. Oh my God, was that what we just did there? And Jen's, like, we just did that.
I
So
love
that's super.
that.
And what I love too, nobody, you don't hear, because you always hear the negative on the socials, right? And everybody's like, oh, that was a good interview, or oh, I didn't know that about something, or oh, I got good. And it's just like, it's not about who's delivering it, it's about the information. And that to me is just a breath of fresh air. So I
Which
think we've come
is
up.
Yeah, which is what matters. It's about more so what you know versus the fact that it's women who are
Yeah.
letting you know what's happening with the sports and everything like that. So I love to hear that because yes, I've definitely heard stories where there's things happening within this industry with women where they're just not getting the opportunities or they're being overlooked, or they're that token woman, so that is it's like they're kind of just there but they're not really in the conversation. So I love the fact that first of all you didn't really you didn't experience any of that, but also you created your own version of an all women team, and
Hmm.
you all are amazing, and nobody can say anything negative because you guys know your stuff. So
Yeah.
now that other stereotype of like, oh, they don't really know what they're talking about, you guys have crushed that as well. So I love that. I love that. I love that for you, and I love that for the future of women who want to get into broadcasting to know that they have a space and it's okay. They can thrive in it. So
Hmm.
that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into your Fox 5 role a little bit. So, as a lead sports, anchor for Good Day, New York, and then the host of Sports Extra, how do you approach, I guess, kind of covering a wide range of sports, and what do you aim to bring to the audience with each broadcast? Because I know it's a lot. Yeah,
That's when the sports hits. I have to know my audience because it's people running out the door.
yeah,
It's also people, if you're a sports fan, and I'll admit it, we have 7 monitors in here. I've got on ESPN, I've got on Fox Sports, I have on MLB Network, I have on NFL Network, I've got my sports stuff on.
yeah,
So I don't have other news networks on because I know where I'm going. Oh, there's a big story in the NHL. I got that on. Of
yep,
course, with free agency and the combine, I'm watching NFL Network. So,
yep,
or ESPN and their extensive NFL coverage. So that's, during October, I'm watching MLB Network.
yeah,
So sports people are not necessarily, if you're a sports fan like myself, you're not watching necessarily a news station. So it's people that
exactly,
aren't fans, but they want to get to the water cooler and be like, did you see Aaron Judge hit back to back home run with Juan Soto last night in that spring training game? Or, so and so's pitching well. He was awful last year. Looks good in spring. Or,
right,
the latest on Saquon Barkley's free agency situation or whatever's
yes,
going on. So I have to like not I want to use the proper words. Keep it simple. I keep it simple in the morning. And I
mm,
want to also keep it fun. Because I'm sometimes I'm coming out of some nasty news in New York. It is
ah,
just
I can
like
only imagine.
so, this is the state of the world, state of New York City. So I want to bring a little joy, even when a team loses, because sometimes we're like 0 for 3 in the morning. You just never know.
Yeah,
And guys, it's okay. And then I'll look for a kicker or some kind of story to add to it or some kind of
mm,
bright spot. Oh, so and so still has the record, or we'll bring, had a good time with Caitlin Clark's record from
ah, so excited about her.
last night.
Yes.
What else? We had some good stuff. Oh God, the Knicks. So when Jalen Brunson goes down, so I
Mm.
start with like the drama, and everybody's like dying, like, oh no, the Knicks gonna lose Brunson, but we end on a good note.
Yeah.
Coach sound might just be a contusion. So I try to bring like a little entertainment value to the information, but I'm always trying to inform, always trying to bring whatever unique angle I have from just either
Mm.
people I know or just angles, my own experience. I know the Knicks trainer very well because I covered the Knicks for 7 years at MSG Network as their sideline reporter. So I gave him a little
Ah,
pop. Gonega talked about him last night. Where like you don't always hear a trainer's name mentioned when they're picking
yeah.
up off the floor. So little
I
things like
love
that I
that.
experiences. So that's kind of how like the mornings go. For and I try to bring different stories. And the best advice I got from my boss. So of course we want to make the boss happy. I don't care about it's about the boss, right? I want
100%.
to have something different than when you go down channel 2, channel 4, channel 7, channel 11, all the so what's going to be different? I don't care. You don't have to have the same thing as them, like, cuz I used to be like, well, what does so and so have, and do they have that soundbite after the game, or do they have
Yeah.
that, like, how can I make it different? Um
Mm.
just so they can remember, oh, but Tina had that. Like, I just want to kind of try
Yeah.
to like that, and cover, and you're gonna get, I mean, you're gonna get the best coverage of the NFL from the NFL Network or ESPN or those kind of places. So what different angle can I give? So I don't have to go
Mm.
that extensively into it. And I'd love to do X's and O's and strategy and all that jazz, but that's not for my audience.
Right.
Um, for Sports Extra, I go to a little more detailed, like very New York, very insider. I try to do,
Mm.
and I try to bring the people that were reading articles, who are writing them. Well, what did you see in the locker room? What was the atmosphere like? It's not necessary because they're not gonna give me different information than their article. They're gonna want people to read those articles. So I try to
Mm.
that atmosphere, and what was it? How do you feel to you? Was he like kind of lying? Like things like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
was he up that injury, or was he trying to, like, take
Take
the
a
brunt of
break.
it, not blame the offensive line for
You're
stinking? Because
right.
I thought I thought that stuff like that. So, and then we can laugh about it, or they'll bring like that information. So that's kind of what I do. And then, like, I always look for something fun, a little bit of a kicker. I think tomorrow I'm definitely going to cover the Travis Kelsey retirement, even though, we hate the Eagles here in New York. What a big
I know.
story. His brother, and he's been, on TV constantly. He is a Hall of Famer, and I think we're
Yes.
going to see a lot of him on TV. And then I have a really fun story from a WFAN radio host. And I don't want to ruin it because I want people to watch it tomorrow
I was
morning,
gonna
unless
say you're
they
gonna tell me all the juicy details, or
yeah, yeah. So it's a fun story. On Tuesday morning in New York or Thursday morning in New York, and I interviewed her, and she's had a really unique interaction with Giants backup quarterback Tommy DeVito, and it's just
Ah,
another only in New York, New Jersey kind of a story. It's happened to her.
yeah.
I'll sort of give a tip. She's an Italian teacher Monday through Friday. She's a full time Italian teacher,
Wow.
and um, but she works at the Fan. She's a sports broadcaster on the weekend. She's a weekend host. So she had a she has a good story. And so she told it on her.
Yeah. Wow, that's exciting. Well, I'm excited to know what it is. I'm super nosy, so I wish you could tell me, but I'll wait. Um,
Put it out. I'll put it on social. I'll do the
okay.
video.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay, no, so I mean, wow. So obviously you've had a lot of different experiences, being in this industry. I'm sure you came across a lot of crazy, amazing, impactful stories, probably just all types. So what has been probably your most, I guess, significant story that you
Hmm.
can remember that had the most impact?
I mean, a couple, and it's hard to like rank them, or it just depends on like what sport you like. But I've
Okay.
been lucky to cover all of them, right? So you cannot predict certain things, and a couple things
Mm,
I experienced, like you always want to cover a championship.
of course.
And so I lived in Boston for a while, and I worked for NESN, New England Sports Network, and the Red Sox won the World Series in 2007 when I was there. So
Mm,
that was an incredible experience. But
of
that
course.
year, one of the things that happened that you can't predict, Clay Buchholz, as a rookie on call-up day, threw a no-hitter. So that was my
Mm,
first big historic experience I got to cover that you can't predict. Because when a
that's
team's
amazing.
playing well, they're going to the World Series, or they're gonna go to the Eastern
100%.
Conference or whatever. Um, Later on, when I was covering the Knicks for MSG Network, the whole insanity experience. How do you predict that? This kid from Harvard, undrafted, gets traded from the Golden State Warriors, is playing in the G League. It was called the D League at the time. He
Yeah,
gets up and scores 30. I mean, it was insane. It was 2 weeks of linsanity.
yeah.
Through a lot, and so many things happened over the years, but it was really wild. I'm grateful to have been a part of that and see it right up close, right on the court. Amazing.
Wow.
Another thing that happened and predict, when Carmelo Anthony broke the Knicks scoring
Yep,
record and scored 62 points in a game at Madison Square
yep.
Garden, broke his idol's record, Bernard King.
Mhm.
Uh, and Kobe had scored 61 there. So then he went
Man,
ahead and buys one more point.
wow.
And I got to see Kobe. I got to see Kobe in person, break that record initially, which was initially Bernard King's, but it was at Kobe.
Yeah. Now
That
that's an experience. Wow.
So all kinds of things like that. So those were a couple of the big ones. I'm trying to think of anything recent. Not the Tom Tito craze. I mean, what the heck? That was
Right.
kind of kid
A
lives at
hun
home. He lives down the street from me, by the way, which everybody knows because
Oh,
I was.
wow.
I mean, I'm from another town. I was born and raised in another town in Essex County, New Jersey, which is
Okay.
4 miles from Cedar Grove.
Wow.
Back
Yep.
from his injury, and he's a friend. So things like that. And that's sports. That's the way
I
things
love
happen.
that.
Yes, a lot of really unique, fun stories. So I've been really grateful to cover a couple of those that are so unpredictable.
Man, well, first of all of those experiences are, like, honestly, like, amazing. Like, some people would never get to experience one of those things. So the fact that you were there for definitely the Kobe thing, I mean, wow. To be
Yeah,
there to see that,
first, yeah.
wow, that's powerful. Yeah, yeah. Oof. Yeah, that's tough. Yeah,
Uh,
I
um,
know.
yeah, that's still we still can't comprehend it. And it won't seem like real that he's
I
even here
bet.
to play like the whole game.
Mm, I
So look
know.
though, looking forward to that, seeing how that pans out. So that
Yes, ye
oh my gosh, how could I forget Aaron Judge and his 62 home runs? I got to travel and follow Aaron Judge around
Oh,
to
wow.
of 2022
Wow.
and see that. So I got to see 61 and 60 in person in
Oh my
Toronto,
gosh.
Maris, and then when he broke Roger Maris's record in in Texas. So I got to see those in person. And I was obsessed
Wow.
with the movie 61 by Billy Crystal. I just love
Yeah,
kind of a Mets fan and then went to work with the Red Sox. Like it's just such a romantic story about
y
baseball in New York City and the legends. And like to see another baseball player, another human, another Yankee, and to be like one of the main broadcasters from the city during that time. That was amazing. And he is hands down a great guy, like legit great guy. Couldn't happen to a better person.
I love
So
that.
that was neat to cover. That was a lot of fun. So
Wow.
like the little reel I made from the game that he hit it, the couple games leading up to it, and the game he hit it. So that's kind of
That's
neat and fun.
amazing. So with all the traveling you do, how do you act like, how do you make time for yourself? Like, how do you
Ugh,
self-care? Because it seems like you're, like, everywhere. I think you have to be. So, like, how do you take
yeah.
time for yourself?
So I don't sleep as much as I should. And I just started working with like a nutritionist and she cannot believe. She's like, oh, 8 to 9 hours a night. I'm like, I don't have an 8 to 9. I don't have a 6 hour window because
Wow.
sometimes on Sunday nights at 12:30 a.m. and sometimes I gotta be out of the house by 8 a.m.
Oh, man.
So to get to shoot or something on Tuesday on Mondays is a day side shift, which I'm on now. And then
Mm.
Tuesday, Thursday, I wake up 3 o'clock in the morning, 3:30 in the morning,
Ooh,
usually 3:45. Which I'm not
jeez.
supposed to. That's a doozy because they're like, "Oh, you go to bed early? Go to bed early." The games don't even start till 7 o'clock.
I
Some
was gonna
7:30.
say, yeah. You don't have time for that.
Sports producer like sitting there watching the game and like leaving
Yeah.
me no to watch the game or
Yeah.
get up watch rewinds of it. So I struggle on the sleep thing. So I try to get like 8 plus hours Thursday nights and Friday nights and Saturday nights because I'm off Fridays and Saturdays. And then
Okay.
Sunday morning, I don't have to be into work till after 12 noon, unless there's a baseball or football game I want to get to. But so yeah, sleep is a problem. I mean, and now that I'm getting older, I really watching my nutrition lately. So the whole protein
Yeah.
thing, that's all that stuff. But
Yeah.
um I joined a gym near our station recently, so that makes a difference
Okay.
because it's right there and I have to pass it
Yes.
to get to the car.
No
So
excuses.
Guilt is worse when you don't go. Like, I'd rather just
Yeah.
go and be or get a pre-workout drink, right? Or get
Yeah.
something and drink, just do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm tired, but I'm gonna do it tonight. So that's what I try to do, try to read motivational books, and things like that, pray and meditate whenever I can. I had to stop getting hung up like, oh, morning routines. Well, every day is different for me. So there is
It
no
is.
routine to be had. So
You
I
just gotta
try
do
to
your
get
best. That's all
as
you
much,
can
yeah,
do.
as yep, like, just if I can get things in during the week, those are like little I have, like, little check, "Oh, I did get, like, a 10-minute massage this week," or, "I did get my nails done," which you have to get, but, like, that too is still self-care, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
so
that is. That's considered self-care.
trying. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my struggle.
Okay, well, we all have our struggles. So because I was sitting here like, okay, you're telling me you were here, you're following this team, you're following this person. I'm like, wait, so when do you have time to like breathe and take care of Tina? So
I don't have children, so that was sort of a sacrifice that my husband and I made. It just, like, would never had the time, and knowing that it
yeah.
would totally change my career, like, I couldn't do half of the stuff I do. "Oh, you can get
Oh
childcare." That's
no.
like that,
Yeah.
yeah, then your
And you still
salary
gotta
go.
be there too. So that would be tough.
So, yeah, so that's one thing.
Okay.
I have a very supportive husband that helps me a lot. Like, if oh my god, I'm not gonna be home to get the dry cleaning because he does work from home. I mean, he doesn't work from home all the time, but there are days where he works from home. So
Hmm.
I'll be like, "I'll go pick it up." So he's very supportive with stuff like that. Or like, "Oh, could you,
That's beautiful.
so little things like that." So he's super supportive. So that's very helpful with things like that.
And for what you do, that's what you need. You need someone that's gonna understand your life, be supportive, root you
Thank
on, and
Mhm.
pick up the weight sometimes when you're busy. So that's beautiful. My husband
Yeah.
is the same way. So
Yeah.
I think busy women, we need those men that are like, okay, I got you and I understand.
Yes.
Okay, so of course there's beautiful moments and everything that you're doing, but are there any challenges
Mm.
that you face since getting into broadcasting that you can kind of remember that might have been a pivotal moment or some like or a bigger obstacle that you were able to overcome, but it was still an obstacle?
I mean, well, right now my biggest challenge is the hours.
Yeah,
It's just
we
the
know, yeah, that for sure.
uh, yeah, I guess 2015, I was not renewed. My contract wasn't renewed at MSG Network, and we were stunned. I had just had like a
Mm.
great night on the air doing the NBA draft. The Knicks had just drafted Kristaps Porzingis. I got an interview with him and other players. It was just, and all of a sudden I was like, "Hi!" Like the next morning, could you call back? Oh, we're not renewing your contract. Why? We're moving on. Wait, what?
Oh wow, jeez.
So was out of left field.
Yeah.
So that was tough to get over. But little things happened along the way where, before I knew it, a few months later, I was kind of back at MSG because the New York Red Bulls wanted to have me back again as their announcer because I was doing Red Bulls and Knicks. So, and they
Mm.
were like partner. They weren't, it was like, yeah, partnerships and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Ended up still technically being on MSG for another 3 years. And then the Red Bulls gave me my own little show. So there were all like one door closed, and then slowly but surely, all of these doors started to open that I never would have experienced if I just stayed happy in that
Yep.
contract. I
Exactly.
really grew as a sports broadcaster. I ended up on NBA radio and became their first lead female host at Sirius.
Wow. I love that.
Wasn't even like a goal. Like, I'm gonna try to break ground. I mean, wasn't even something I tried to do. But by that October, they hired me, and I was doing NBA weekends, Saturday and Sunday mornings as a host. Great experience. Love radio because I could just talk for 3 hours. Because as a
Yeah.
sideline reporter, here's 15 seconds, like three times a
Right.
game. Serial loved it. Um, that and I also started doing more freelance work, which led me to CBS Sports Network. And I started
Ah,
football because I was like, yeah, whatever. Like, put me on. I had done arena football when I started my career,
yeah.
and it was a broadcast. It was seasoned announcers. I had a blast. I'm on the field, Santi. I know with your football stuff that you do.
Yeah.
I'm on the field getting the coach calling the play. Why did you call that play? And then we talk, and like
Oh,
the
I love
plays
that.
run back in the box. One time a player line that had to pick me up because the play's coming towards us. They're about to
Oh my
slam
gosh.
into the wall. Arena football. Um, I mean, that was so much fun. I mean, I was on the field with like a skirt I mean, sneakers and a skirt, like interviewing players as they're playing. It was the greatest experience.
Wow.
Then it led me, CBS hired me for college football and college basketball. Then I got my chance in the studio. Now I regularly work for CBS Sports Network and CBS Sports. I do all of the Army football home games from Mikey Stadium at the West Point.
Mm,
I do the Army Navy game as a pregame co-host on the field for
wow.
3 hours at the Army Navy game. And then I switched to radio for the game. So I'm doing sideline reporting for Army Navy, which was a game I grew up obsessed with. And
Yeah.
then we need to talk with who? Leslie Visser, the godmother, the woman that I looked up to, Andrea Kramer. And then I'm sitting alongside of the greatest athletes that I watch. They're my generation, they're my age. Lisa Leslie, Summer Sanders, Dara Torres, Swin Cash. Like I can't believe I'm sitting
Wow.
along with women that inspired me to love sports and support women's sports.
Mm,
Journalists
man,
broke all the barriers, and there we're all I'm on this show with them. So that wouldn't have
that's
happened.
beautiful. That's beautiful.
Still in that contract. So, yes,
Mm.
seems cliche, but when one door closes,
Oh,
so many other doors can open. You just got to keep knocking, keep pushing through. At the time, I was devastated. You never could have convinced me I'd be happy again.
but that's how it happens though. Like those moments where we think like it cannot get any worse. That's when
Yes.
God brings you something even bigger. So I
Oh, wait.
absolutely I
Yeah,
love
you
that.
got down so that you can bounce back. So,
Exactly. I went through that with my ACL. I When I tore it, I was like, okay, I don't know how I'm gonna get over this, get past this. And
mhm.
so much came from that, me having to sit down in that season. I had my shoe company, like I was able to focus on that and got into Champ Sports and all these other things. I met my husband. I wrote
Realize
my
the time.
second book. So you never know. You never
No.
know.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Take it with it and try and bounce back, find a way to bounce.
yes, yes. So Tina, I gotta ask this question. I gotta ask it. I think everybody wants to know. So, with you being in broadcasting and media, and that being your specialty, you being able to kind of see, what's happening on both the male side and both the female side. What are your
Like
thoughts around?
you're
Say
saying
that one more
sport,
time.
like as a broadcaster, comparing men, women, or like in
Yeah,
sports.
no, just like comparing as far, well, in sports. So you get to see kind of like how the men are getting, viewership, media coverage, things like that, and also the same with women. What do you think is one of the biggest issues with women getting more visibility in sports? I know there's a lot of things happening beautifully around women's basketball, women's soccer, volleyball's coming up.
Finally, problem. It took so
Yes.
long, right? That was the thing. That's the thing. Um, it's male dominated from out of the gate, right? I think we had to see it's kind of cyclical. Like when you look at the whole meta part of it,
Yeah.
you saw how long it took for women to break through, and you needed Title IX
Yep.
50 years ago to get that equality in women's sports, at the college level. We saw what Billie Jean King had to do for women. We saw that Serena had to continue the fight. I mean, incredible. It's just for whatever that dynamic is, unfortunately, like tradition and history is, a little cyclical. It just
Yeah.
has taken time. But what
Mhm.
we see is so beautiful. Like in tennis is a great example how their purses are the same in tennis viewership. We saw like certain sports, I think it's just taking each one a little time to catch up and things like that. So
For
we see the
sure.
viewer. Nobody has a problem with the Australian. Well, it's overnight. That's a bad example. But in general, like the US Open, the big
Yep.
ones, that are
Yes,
on prime
yes.
time. There aren't problems with US Open ratings, that's for sure.
At all. Yeah.
For the finals and things like that. And endorsements, we see, phenomenal things. And Serena, I think Venus were big on the endorsement side. They were
Yes.
able to that kind of bridge that gap from like
Mhm.
Martina, Everett, and them, and bridge it to this next generation and get it up there.
Yep.
Um, but I know it took till 2023 for the women's NCAA for the Final Four and the final to break.
Yes.
2023, but at least it's getting there.
It
We're going to
is.
slowly see that with all the sports
Mm.
and you saw them breaking records. And I saw it at Barclays Center. Oh my God, we have to open up more seats because they used to black out seats.
Yes.
And then it was like the demand was there and they raised the prices and everybody's paying for it.
Exactly.
You know, taking its time. We're climbing a mountain, whether it's viewership, whether it's the athlete themselves. It's
Mhm.
still six. There's so many. I mean, there's Santia. There's so many layers we could peel back. I mean,
Oh,
just
I'm
announced
sure.
short re-signing with the Liberty last week,
Yes.
but the contract was $242,000.
Yeah. That's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, I get it because again, it's how many tickets are you selling? They play less
Yes.
the sponsor, but that's going to go up. But it's so such a drag.
Okay, so then let's kind of, and I know I'm kind of going off script, but I gotta ask this because I'm honestly curious. So one thing that I noticed, because I know like I'm one of a big advocate for women in sports and visibility and storytelling. Do you truthfully feel like there's enough storytelling in women's sports? Meaning we know every single thing and every single detail about like LeBron James. We knew what hospital he was born. Did he have all his fingers and toes? Where was his great grandparents born? But with women, we
I
might
think
know some people, but there's still not a lot. And to me, if you don't have a story behind you, how can you get fans? How can you sell tickets? How can you sell merch? How can you get sponsors and endorsementships? Because there's not like a hero effect. In men, there's so many heroes, right?
and there's only like we could talk about a handful of people that women that are in that space. I mean, I think you could
Yes.
say UNESCO's getting to that point right now.
Yes.
You and then look at the women in college. I mean, I love,
Oh, yeah, they're
whether
killing it.
and I love little girls dressing like her. We're starting to learn, about her
Yes.
everything with Caitlin Clark and the
Yes.
way that she plays, and we're learning, so that's
Yes.
again, it is very small sample.
Yes.
With soccer, it was, I mean, all the rage and when they won those back-to-back World Cups, and then like their play kind of shot themselves in the foot with their play. I mean, but the same thing
Yes.
the men's soccer. So soccer is a tough one in America, but the women's soccer
Mhm.
is out the men in
Every
viewership
single
and all
time.
they had to fight for their own equal pay. So let me make sure I answer your question because I'm coming up with
No,
my
you're
topic.
good, you're good, you're good.
So we're getting more. We're again, it's a slow process, but we're
Yes.
getting more with shows like We Need to Talk, with deals that the NWSL and women's basketball, whether it's the WNBA or the Women's New Professional Hockey League, which we've seen like
Yep.
many chapters and reiterations of it.
Mhm.
As a woman, I try to get as many stories on. We did a story on the New York PWHL team last night. They lost, but we interviewed the executives that were there. They had a networking event at UBS Arena, but questions were asked. Why aren't the seats filled? Now, they're not going to fill it like the Islanders. I get it. It's a new team,
For sure.
but they still could have had more people. So that
Yes.
me, and I've seen it a little bit, and it goes to the ownership. I guess the highest level would be the best way to
Yes.
say it for those teams, whether it's the NCAA or ownership of a team. Who are you hiring? But you got to pay them. You got to pay the
Yep.
highest relations and community people and marketing people to get
Yep.
billboards out there to do good sales. And I see it, and I'm not going to say who, but I see it in some men's teams. Like I'm not talking about the Jets and Giants, obviously, or the Yankees
Yeah.
or the Knicks, but I see it with some men's teams. Like, why isn't this being promoted more? Why isn't there a billboard of this person?
Yes.
You got it comes down to the team, the league, but I would say the team because you're looking at selling, just kind of to pare it down locally. They could do so much better, but again, they have to pay the highest level of person what they're worth to get them to
Marketing. Yep.
do the marketing and do the ad sales and do the
True.
community public relations and get those stories on. So
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 it's a
when either
financial thing.
yeah,
Of
a
course. I
little
mean,
pumped down. You're like Gotham FC now has kicked in. Now it helped that they won the championship.
for sure.
So
For
they
sure. Yeah.
into the team, winning does help. So now they have some new ownership. They're
Yep.
pumping money. They're doing big press conferences. They've got the billboard. They have this amazing like painting on a brick wall in Soho of the Ford and
Yep.
is from the women's national team.
Yes.
So it's like a process. So but we're getting there because we could see it
We
with the ring.
are. I just feel like it's taking so long, but I guess, Rome wasn't built overnight. And even on the men's side, it took them, even though it seems like it didn't take that long, but it did take men's sports a while to also get to a level to where they are able to pay millions of dollars, right? To each player and
Yep.
staff and things like that. So
cycles. It depends on who the face of the different leagues are. I mean, baseball has struggled selling tickets.
True.
They're still playing, and their players $280 million. I mean, we've seen
True.
it with hockey go through phases. They were changing the game. They were changing the way they were broadcasting it with like a Zoom thing so people could follow the puck. Like these, they changed the size of the goal to try to get more goals.
Yeah.
So we've seen it with the men's sports too. Um,
Hmm.
I think it's just like, I mean, look at Adam Silver creating an in-season tournament
Which
for
is,
the
yeah.
NBA, struggled with some ratings and
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
last year, previous years.
Hmm.
So, it's just at a grander scale. Like it's just, we see the big drop off for women, but it is happening in all sports in some capacity. I mean, look, the NFL was not struggling, but to see it actually have an uptick because of an international female recording star going to games because of her boyfriend, like it actually
Right.
went up. It was somewhere where it
That
wasn't
says a
before.
lot. Yeah.
I don't,
Okay, so okay, last question. So do you think it's an entertainment thing as well?
yeah, I do. I do think it's an entertainment thing because somebody said to me last night, a male who said, I could care less about women's college basketball. So I did my story on Caitlin Clark, and he said to me, I'm one of those people that, like, whatever, women's college basketball. I'm a big NBA fan. But because of the numbers she was putting up, I watched her play, and it was fun to watch her play. Like, it wasn't
Yes.
like, I love the way she passes the ball with velocity and she sets up. He wasn't like talking
Right.
about, but like he was trying, she sets up her teammates, unselfish. No, it was energetic. It entertained him.
Yeah.
So yes, it takes a certain level of winning, but it was also entertaining, whether it's Caitlin Clark scoring 49
Mhm.
points or, a couple shots of Taylor Swift, or if it's just the little
Yeah, with
girls
the
in the
jersey.
state stuff on that says, go Taylor's
Yep.
boyfriend, it just creates interest and intrigue and
Yeah,
all of
and they're
that.
getting more celebrities to come too, to sit in the seats, which also helps. I mean, I
It does.
so
Don't have that the New York Knicks. It's a problem. It
Yeah.
does. It does help having, and I think the Knicks are a great example, and the Yankees, but they have such great celebrity fans.
Yes.
I'm trying to think of a couple other teams that have great celebrity fans that aren't like obvious, like the Lakers and
Yeah.
things. But there's a couple, and and that does help. And it's up to the team sometimes to push that a little bit, and then get the
Yes.
network a little bit. So you do have to be a little creative sometimes.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, that's interesting. I have this conversation at least like once a week. So I was like, let me actually ask someone who does this for a living, her take on it. And what you're saying is true. I think it's more than one problem, but at least we are starting to move forward. I think that's the good thing is like we're not
Yeah,
stagnant anymore. So I guess we just got to keep
correct.
pushing and making sure that we understand the cycles of sports as well, so that there's preparation for that. But that's very interesting. But so what would you say to a little girl who's looking up to you and she's like, I want to be the next Tina. Like I love sports. I love all sports. I want to be able to talk about sports on the highest level. What would be your advice to her?
I would say right away, get your phone out, and get your ring light, and talk into it, and start talking about why you love sports, and post it,
Mm,
and get it out there, and create a style or like a focus. Maybe it's women's hockey, maybe it's men's hockey, maybe it's one team. Um, Maybe, you know what I mean? All it needs to be is one team even. I mean, I have a couple
yeah.
like Knicks fans that have their whole genre of followers. Somebody tweeted something about me the other day or X, whatever. I couldn't believe the amount of likes and retweets. And this was just, and this is a fan who has his own job, does whatever he's just a big Knicks fan, but like he
Wow.
creates community just on the Knicks. And he's
Wow.
being unbiased. I mean, he's being very biased. Like, they're the greatest three-point shooting team in the world and they play phenomenal defense.
Wow.
Play those guys 48 minutes again. You know what I mean? He just wants the Knicks
Yeah.
the following and he's got a whole like character, you know what I mean? He's got a whole
Yeah.
persona. So that's what I would say. You could start now. You don't have to wait to do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You could start and create something that I didn't have when I was, say, 12 years old or 15 years old or 20 years old in college, even for that matter. But also, like, it's gonna. I mean, I every day this sports media
For
is
sure.
evolving. We hear things is going to go away, right? But sports isn't going to go away. So how are we covering
Yep.
sports? So Another thing too, and I'll make sure I tag you. I do have something that's coming out soon that's new. It's outside of the box for Fox 5.
Ah,
Something to think about, and then I had an idea once, and okay, work on it, pitch it, and then now but the industry's changed a little bit in the last 12 months. So now we changed it again, and now it's becoming a reality. So little
ah,
things like that, like be willing to just kind of go with the flow, but also I mean, you could I also like there's so many choices for a little girl.
yeah,
Are you be an expert? Do you play a sport? Are you going to be a gymnast expert? Or are you going to play football like yourself and
right.
be that can actually say, "Oh, I played the game." Because
Yep,
there were so many years where women could not say, "I played the game," but now you can
exactly.
analyst, as a true color commentator? Are you going to be a
Yes,
journalist? Are you going to be an insider like Adam Schefter? We've been talking so much about the late Chris Mortensen that just passed away. So are you going to be
mhm,
that kind? So you have so many choices
yeah,
too. What I think as a young person, you could really focus on it now. Are you going to do play by play? If so, start practicing now. So I mean
yes,
that
yes.
what I think is it's right there. You don't want to be Tina when you grow up. You could be Tina right now and better because there's so many
Mm,
and do you want to
yes,
cover sports? Do you want to specialize in a sport? You could
yes.
kind of make decisions and perfect it and gain experience and meet people along the way too. And
Wow,
also just
I love
reaching
that.
out to people on social media. I mean, I've had kids in the studio as young as 16, as old as 25, looking for jobs and just kind of want to see if they're going to change careers.
Yeah,
Hang out one night,
yeah,
So, and
I
I
love
don't know
that.
them. They just send me a message and do setting. And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, come in." Just make sure they're not a
Right.
murderer. Yeah, you can come in and shadow. So, but reach out to different people that you do want to see if you want to be like them
I love
and
that.
enjoy their things like that. Yeah.
I love that. Well, to all the little kids that are watching that would love to grow up and get into this industry, or now, you don't have to grow up. You can start now, like Tina said.
Right.
Definitely, yeah, definitely make sure you take her advice and maybe even send her a message, if this is a career path that you're interested in. So yeah, thank you for that. I appreciate that. So is there anything that like, and I know you kind of touched on something that you just recently pitched that might be coming into fruition. So I know you can't talk about it yet, but is there anything else that's going on that we can follow or look forward to?
Yeah, just I do post a lot. Like I'll preview a lot of stuff like, hey, coming up, whether it's my X account, which is at Tina Cervasio, Instagram is at Tina Cervasio. I have to do better at posting more things on my YouTube. But on the social media, because it's more, it's instant.
Yeah,
So things and then I try to post it when it's done after something's aired. So I keep like a lot of my content as much as I can get up there. I try to keep it, and if it's interesting and I know there's like a following, I
right.
try to keep up there. Yeah, so it's just really let's see. Do I have any special guests on Sports Extra this Sunday night? My interview with Mets Luis Severino is my guy this week. Spent time with him at
Oh, nice.
up in Port St. Lucie. Really cool conversation with Sevy as he, goes from the Yankees to the Mets.
Yep.
But he had a lot of injuries and he would re-injure himself because he wasn't fully recovering. So we talked
Mm,
discovered this off fully recover and hopefully prevent
wow.
injury. And it's everything we've talked about a little bit from sleep, and he's got these health hacks, and it's really a cool conversation. And so he's on this week, and then I guess we're kind of waiting on a couple other guests. If I do another baseball player, kind of see what happens this week in free agency in the NFL,
Oh
like with
yeah,
Saquon and stuff.
for sure.
Happen, yeah. So much. It's still early because it's still Monday, but definitely having Luis Severino. I
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Tina, thank you so much for taking the time to hop on here with Winning Her Way. I know you're super busy, and definitely with me knowing now that you're like this everywhere all the time. So I appreciate you for like taking time out. And honestly, we're looking forward to seeing this new project that you're working on. I can't wait till you announce it. We're gonna have to get you back on here to kind of talk about that.
Cool.
But yeah, but again, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to everything that you do in the future.
And thank you so much. I think you're winning with everything
Thank
that
you.
you've done in both your athletic career, your business career, and now, creating this content as a broadcaster. It's so great. It's so needed. It's a great space and it's so entertaining and so informative.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. All right.
Appreciate you
See you
too.
soon.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.